Buenos días, mis estudiantes, and bienvenidos. Welcome to your first instructional video for Module 1A that also has a second part, Module 1B. So it's a 2-week long module. The name of this module is Hola, ¿cómo te llamas? Which means, hi, what's your name? Or literally, how do you call yourself? For most of the sections of the study plan, and each of the modules has a study plan, which may have 4, 5, or 6 sections. For each of the sections, or as I said, most of them, there will be an instructional video that I will present to you. It can be very difficult to learn a foreign language on your own just by reading the material. So watch the videos. There will be time for you to learn, to practice speaking, and to work with the material before you go into the reading section in the study plan. So let's begin with the first section, encantado, which means delighted or pleased to meet you. Before we get started, let's do a brief overview of the structure of the course within Blackboard. When you click on Blackboard, you'll see your column on the left where you can click on the various sections to access. You'll see announcements, and any announcement that is current will be posted there. And always look at My Tasks. You're going to see the items that are due for the module. This is a module broken into 2 parts, so you'll see both of those parts listed. By the end of week 1, module 1A, there are 3 items to be completed. And then by the end of the second week, several more items to be completed. So always glance there to see what's due. The research consent form is due at the end of the first week. Just click there and you'll fill in what's required. Click enter. That is the easiest grade you're going to have for the entire semester. So make sure to get that done on time. It will be entered right into the grade book. And then you're going to see where you click on weekly modules. And that's really the heart of the matter. That's where you're going to go into your learning materials. So click on weekly modules. You will see the current module that's going to be posted, and after this particular week, your new modules will post very first thing on Monday. And you're going to see the week, semana, week 1 and 2. You will see the dates for that module. You'll see the name of the module. So you're going to click on that, open up the module. And when you open the module, you'll see this basic format for all of the modules. At the very beginning are the instructional videos, and it's very important that you watch these. You're watching the first one here, of course, today. Watch them before the various sections. So you're going to see watch before section 1 of the study plan, before section 2, 3, 4. As I said, there might be a section 5, possibly a section 6. So you're going to see the instructional videos. You will see then the study plan is listed. That's what we'll be going into momentarily. And you'll see the items that are due, the tasks that are due. For the first week, you'll see the due dates as well. Discussion number 1, the first discussion is due January 24th. So scrolling down then, you're going to see another discussion. In some modules, there's only one discussion. But you'll see that the second discussion is due at the end of the second week, January 31st. You will see a collaboration. I believe that there are a couple of modules that don't have a collaboration. They may have a writing piece instead. You'll see that the collaboration is due on January 31st. And you'll see that this is where the quiz is located. The quiz you will take at the end of the module. After you do the total study plan, after you do any discussions, any collaboration, any writing, you complete the quiz. So generally, you're going to be completing the quiz on the last Sunday of the module. So you click on the study plan, and you'll see within the study plan there are 3 basic sections: get started, dive in, and that's where the study plan sections are located. And again, we're going to be going over this first video for the first study plan section, encantado. And then you will see finish strong. Although you'll see ready for the quiz at the end of this section, please don't access the quiz here. You will access the quiz from that main page of the module where the quiz is located at the bottom below the discussion, collaboration, writing. So let's begin, or you will begin rather, with Get Started. You'll click on Why It Matters. That will give you an overview of this particular module study plan. And then show what you know. Click on that and take a pre-test, pre-quiz to see what you might already know in this module. You might be surprised if you have some background in Spanish. That'll let you know how tough the module might be for you and how much work you'll be needing to do. It might be review. Then you get into dive in and you start with the very first section of the study plan, in this case encantado. And right now we're going to actually go over material that will be in that study plan so that you get prepared before you go into it and you'll be ready to go with that material. So let's get started. The objectives, the objectives for this section, encantado, are to identify and use common greetings and goodbyes. So we'll begin with vocabulario. Bienvenidos a la clase. Vocabulary for welcome to class. Saludos y respuestas, greetings and farewells. Presentaciones, introductions, and despedidas, farewells. Let's start by understanding something about Spanish. Spanish has something called formal versus informal in relating to people. This is an important part of Spanish culture, whether you speak to someone in a casual or familiar or informal manner, or you need to speak to somebody in a more formal manner. That matters in Spanish and it's culturally important. So I'll begin with a question: how many ways can you say you in English? Basically, just one, you. There might be slang, y'all, you guys, yuns in the South. There might be slang ways to say a plural you, but basically there's one. Well, what about Spanish? How many ways are there to say you? There are 4. Let's take a look. Tú is one way to say you, and it is singular, and it's used in informal contexts. So for example, if you're talking to a family member and you say to your sister, you need to help me out, you would use tú. Close friends, you use you, tú. Talk to children with tú. Talk to pets with tú. Notice when it's written, there's an accent over the you. That's very important. Without it, tú means your, tu libro, your book. So very important in writing to include accents that can actually misspell a word. Let's take a look at another way to say you. Usted. Usted is singular and it's used in formal context. So you use usted when you are talking to someone older than you. Okay, so you're talking to your neighbor across the street, Mr. Smith. Usted. You're talking to people you don't know. Use usted to say you. Acquaintances at work who you don't know really well, you see them in the hallway, use usted. And they're again, colleagues at work. Note that in most the Spanish-speaking world, ustedes, which is the plural way to say you, so if you have usted and usted, or tú and tú, you all, you use ustedes to address more than one person, both formally and informally, in most parts of the Spanish-speaking world. But in Spain, you use vosotros, so you can think of tú and tú. So 2 informal people, you want to say you guys, right? And the way to say that is vosotros, you guys, or vosotras, you gals, is used instead of ustedes to address a group informally, and that's just in Spain. So for the most part, the plural way to say you all is ustedes. So we'll remember that for sometime down the road. We're not going to be using that right now. We'll just talk about singulars. So let's talk about greetings. Repita. When I say repita, please repeat after me. Get some speaking practice. We'll always repeat twice. Repita. Hola. Hola, which means hi. Repita. Buenos días. Buenos días, which means good morning, literally good day. Please notice buenos ends with os. That has something to do with masculine, feminine, singular, plural. We'll get into that another day. But when you are saying good in front of the word days, días, this is actually a masculine plural word, so we need this type of an ending on good. So one more time, buenos días. Repita, buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. And now you can see, oh, that's interesting because this has an A instead of an O, but it's plural, has an S. So the word afternoon in Spanish is a feminine plural word. So the descriptor needs to be a feminine plural version of this adjective in this case. So that's why the difference. Buenas tardes. Repita, buenas tardes. Repita, buenas noches. Buenas noches. Good evening. And can you guess if the word noche is masculine or feminine? It's a feminine word, singular or plural? Plural. So again, we use buenas, like tardes. The only one that's different is buenos días. Let's see if you can remember. ¿Cómo se dice? How do you say? ¿Cómo se dice hi? Repita, hola. ¿Cómo se dice good morning? Repita, buenos días. ¿Cómo se dice good afternoon? Repita, buenas tardes. ¿Cómo se dice good evening? Repita, buenas noches. Muy bien, let's move on. Now we're going to work with asking, how are you feeling? Repita, ¿qué tal? ¿Qué tal? How's it going? Kind of in a casual way. Repita, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? How are you? Or how are you feeling in an informal way? Take a look at this ending, as. Okay, that's the verb to be. It's from the verb to be. And you're going to see this is a conjugation of the verb. And this particular conjugation is going with the informal you. ¿Cómo estás tú? Now you can ask somebody, ¿cómo estás? Because this particular form of the verb only goes with you. Or you can say, ¿cómo estás tú? You can include this subject pronoun, you. It's kind of like in English. How are you? How is he? How are they? The verb is conjugated. So two ways to say how are you informally, including or not including the subject pronoun. Let's say them once again. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás tú? So you might ask that of who? Of whom rather. You might say, ¿cómo estás to your sister? ¿Cómo estás to your friend? ¿Cómo estás to your pet? These are people that you are speaking to informally. How would you say the same thing formally? You see your neighbor across the street saying ¿cómo estás? Or asking them ¿cómo estás? Is too casual. You would say or ask, repita, ¿cómo está? ¿Cómo está? That's how you would ask how are you in a formal way. If you wanted to add the subject pronoun you, repita, ¿cómo está usted? ¿Cómo está usted? And you can choose to leave off the usted or the tú because it's a given that the person you're speaking to knows you're speaking to them, to you, so you don't have to have it. Notice that the S is dropped. There is no S when you're asking how are you formally. That's the correct conjugation of the verb with that subject. Now, we're just going to briefly touch on this, although this isn't in the section of the study plan, but I do want you to see how to work with plurals. ¿Cómo están ustedes? Repita, ¿cómo están ustedes? How are y'all? And again, in most of the Spanish-speaking world, ¿cómo están ustedes would be used in a formal situation. You're saying, how are you all to your friends? Or you're saying, how are you all to Mr. and Mrs. Neighbor across the street? ¿Cómo están ustedes? How about if you were in Spain and you're saying, how are you guys? You're being casual, tú and tú. ¿Cómo estáis vosotros? How are you all in an informal way? And again, this is only used in Spain. So if your friends were walking down the street and you said, ¿Cómo están ustedes to your friends? They would think it was odd in Spain if you were being so formal to them. So there's a different conjugation just in Spain, and that may be touched on here and there within the modules. So let's see what you remember. ¿Cómo se dice how's it going in a casual way? Repita, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo se dice how are you informally? There are two ways. Repita, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás tú? If you want to add the subject pronoun tú. ¿Cómo se dice how are you in a formal way? Repita, ¿cómo está? ¿Cómo está usted if you want to add you? ¿Cómo se dice how are you all? Formally or informally in most Spanish-speaking parts of the world? ¿Cómo están ustedes? And again, you could drop that ustedes. You could just say, ¿Cómo están? If you see your friends walking toward you, they'll know you're asking both of them. How about if you're just in Spain? Informally, how would you say, how are you? ¿Cómo estáis? Vosotros. Or you could drop the vosotros and say to your friends as they're walking toward you in Spain, ¿Cómo estáis? So now how about some answers, some respuestas when somebody asks how you are? Repita, estoy muy bien. Estoy muy bien. I am very well. And you could feel free to drop the muy and just say, estoy bien, I am well. Repita, estoy bastante bien. Estoy bastante bien. I am quite or fairly well. Repita, estoy más o menos. Estoy más o menos. I'm okay. Literally, más o menos means more or less. Repita, estoy regular. Estoy regular. Which also means I am okay. Literally meaning regular. Repita, estoy así así. Estoy así así. I am okay. So. So there are three ways to say that. Repita, estoy mal. Estoy mal. I am sick. Literally, mal means poorly, poor. Now, a note, yo is the subject pronoun that means I. Like tú is the informal you, usted is the formal you. Yo is I. And it may be included in expressions. For example, you could say, yo estoy bien, yo estoy mal. Now, the opposite of that is you could actually take this estoy away completely and you could just say muy bien. If somebody said, ¿Cómo estás? You could say muy bien, very well. You don't have to say the I am feeling part, right? If you're in casual speech. Now, if somebody says they're feeling a certain way, of course, it's polite to say gracias. Estoy bien, gracias. Repita, gracias. Gracias, which I'm sure most of you know. And then it's polite to ask them back. ¿Y usted? And you formally, repita, ¿y usted? And what about informally? Instead of saying ¿y usted, how would you say and you in an informal way? Repita, ¿y tú? ¿Y tú? And there you have the responses. Let's see what you can come up with. ¿Cómo se dice I am very well? Repita, estoy muy bien. I am quite or fairly well. Repita, estoy bastante bien. I am okay. One of the ways to say I am okay. Repita, estoy más o menos, more or less. I am okay, regular. Repita, estoy regular. Another way to say I'm okay, so-so. Repita, estoy así, así. I am sick, poorly. Repita, estoy mal. ¿Cómo se dice thank you? Gracias. ¿Cómo se dice and you in a formal way? ¿Y usted? And you in an informal way. ¿Y tú? Y ahora una pausa. Let's put some things together now and see if you can have a little conversation. Ways to say hello. Can you remember them? Hola. Repita. Buenos días. Buenas tardes. Buenas noches. So you see somebody and you greet them. Now we're going to ask them, how are you? Repita, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? To a friend informally. ¿Cómo está? To someone you need to treat formally. Respuestas, answers. Repita, estoy muy bien. Estoy bastante bien. Estoy más o menos. Estoy regular. Estoy así, así. Then, of course, being polite, gracias. ¿Y usted? ¿Y tú? Depending on who you're speaking to. What if somebody says they're not feeling well? Do you want to say, if they say I'm not well, shouldn't you make a response to them, right? So you would say, lo siento, I'm sorry. ¿Y usted? ¿Y tú? So let's do a little conversation. And I'm going to pretend I can hear you on the other side. I'm going to say, hello. And I'm going to ask you, how are you? And you're going to say to me, give me an answer, and then ask me and you. And of course, how would you speak to me in Spanish? Would you use y usted or y tú? Right, you would use y usted formally. And then I will give you a response. All right? So I'll start and I will say to you, buenos días. ¿Cómo estás? Give me an answer. Estoy bien, gracias. Now you ask me, you give me a different greeting and then ask me how I'm feeling. Of course, you'll need to use which form, ¿cómo estás or cómo está for me? Muy bien, you'll need ¿cómo está in a formal way for me. And I will give you a response. Okay, go ahead. I'm waiting for you to say, hi, how are you? Estoy bastante bien. Gracias. ¿Y usted? And I'm going to ask you, what's your answer? Muy bien. A little bit of práctica. So let's move on to presentaciones. Now you'd like to introduce somebody to someone else, or you'd like to get some more information. So repita, por favor, ¿cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? I'm using air quotes because that means what is your name, but I want you to literally realize you are saying, how do you call yourself? The question word como does not mean what, it means how. So how do you call yourself in an informal way? You see the T there? The T, like in tú, that's informal, te, yourself. And do you see the AS? Do you remember estás? Como estás ended in an AS? Well, take a look at this verb to call, also ending in an AS. So that's letting you know that's the informal way. You see the tú and you see the S on the verb. So how do you ask somebody, how do you call yourself in a formal way? Repita, ¿cómo se llama? ¿Cómo se llama? Again, what is your name in air quotes? You're literally asking how do you call yourself in a formal way. Now notice the end of the verb to call, llamar, ends in an A, just like está, ¿cómo está? So the formal usted, you're addressing somebody formally, the usted, has just the A, not the llamas, the llama. And notice the LL sound in Spanish comes out like a Y, a Y sound. Not llama, like a llama, you know, the animal. It comes out, say, llama, ya. Now, different ways that you could answer that. Repita, soy. Or you could say, yo soy. So you could just say the verb soy, or you could put the subject pronoun yo in here, yo soy, which means I am. Repita, soy. Yo soy. Repita, me llamo. Me llamo, which means I call myself. Okay, so this is the ending that goes on a verb. If it's I, you're going to see an O at the end there. Me llamo, I call myself. Or you could say, repita, mi nombre es. Mi nombre es, which means, I bet you can figure it out, my name is. Caution, me llamo es is incorrect, and I get this all the time. I'll say to a student, ¿Cómo te llamas? And my student will answer, me llamo es, because they think they're saying my name is. But take a look at how to say my name is. Mi nombre es. Me llamo means I call myself. So if you say me llamo es, you're saying I call myself is. Really? Is that how you want to sound in Spanish? So pick one of the three, soy, me llamo, or mi nombre es, and stick to just that. Don't mix and match and put different pieces together because it just really won't sound right. So let's see what you remember. ¿Cómo se dice? How do you call yourself? What's your name informally? Repita, ¿cómo te llamas? How about formally? Repita, ¿cómo se llama? ¿Cómo se dice I am? Repita, soy, yo soy. Soy Anita, yo soy Anita. ¿Cómo se dice I call myself? Repita, me llamo Anita. ¿Cómo se dice my name is? Repita, mi nombre es. Moving on, some respuestas. If somebody tells you their name, of course you want to say nice to meet you, so let's see how to say that. Repita, encantado. Encantado, which means delighted, nice to meet you, spoken by a male. Notice that O at the end, this has to do with masculine, so this is an adjective that somebody is describing about themselves. If they're male, they're saying, I am delighted, so that it needs to match the speaker. Encantado. So what do you think a female would say? Not encantado. Repita, encantada. Encantada. Delighted, nice to meet you, spoken by a female. An adjective for a female ending in an A. Repita, encantado de conocerte. A little bit longer of a version of what we just said. Repita, encantado de conocerte. Encantado de conocerte, which means nice to meet or to know you. Masculine. This verb right here, conocer, means to know. There's the you, conocerte, to know you. So it really means nice to know you, but you're meeting somebody, so we would translate it as nice to meet you. The O there, so this is what a masculine speaker is saying. The feminine version, repita, encantada de conocerte. Encantada de conocerte. You could also say, mucho gusto, repita, mucho gusto. Mucho gusto. Much pleasure. So pleased to meet you, in other words. Much pleasure to meet you. Mucho means much. Repita, el gusto es mío. El gusto es mío, which means the pleasure is mine. Now this mío is reflecting back to this word gusto, so it always has the O, right? This is not reflecting the speaker. This is an adjective used for the word pleasure, so it's always mío. El gusto es mío. And finalmente, repita, igualmente. Igualmente. Likewise, or the same. Literally, that word means equally. This mente ending is the ly at the end of a word. Igualmente, equally. So let's take a look now and see what you remember. ¿Cómo se dice delighted, nice to meet you, spoken by a male? Repita, encantado. Spoken by a female. Repita, encantada. How about nice to meet you, masculine? This in a longer format. Repita, encantado de conocerte. Spoken by a female. Repita, encantada de conocerte. ¿Cómo se dice much pleasure or pleased to meet you? Repita, mucho gusto. ¿Cómo se dice the pleasure is mine? Repita, el gusto es mío. Y repita, or ¿cómo se dice likewise or same, literally equally? Repita, igualmente. Muy bien, now we're going to present someone to somebody else. First, let's look at the titles. You probably have heard these before. Repita, señora. The abbreviation is capital SRA period. Repita, señora. Mrs. Repita, señor. Señor. Mr. Y repita, señorita. Señorita. Miss. Notice, please, that this is an N-Y. This N has a tilde, which is like a backward S on its side, a tilde over the N. If it weren't there, it would be senora, senor, and senorita, which sounds totally odd, doesn't it? So the N makes it a N, like canyon, senora. So always make sure that that tilde is included in your spelling. You want to present someone to somebody else, and here's one way to do it. Repita, le presento a, le presento a. I present to you, and the you in this case is formal. Le presento a. Por ejemplo, Señor Lopez, you're standing in front of Señor Lopez, who's never met Pablo. And you say, Señor Lopez, le presento a Pablo. You're speaking formally to Señor Lopez, so you use le. This little a I present to you is a personal a, and we'll get into that a little bit later. So you can now think of it as to. I present to you. I suppose. Actually, it doesn't have a translation. It's just called a personal a. And when a person is the object of what's being spoken about, that just goes in front. So that's all I'll say about it now. So let's say that. Repita, Señor López, le presento a Pablo. All together, Señor López, le presento a Pablo. Muy bien. Informally, you would say, te presento a. I present to you, but the te is representing the informal to you. Por ejemplo, Pedro, te presento a Pablo. I present Pablo to you, but Pedro is your friend, so you use te. ¿Cómo se dice? Let's see how you're doing with your memory. ¿Cómo se dice Mrs.? Repita, señora. Mr. Repita, señor. Miss. Repita, señorita. ¿Cómo se dice I present to you in a formal way? Repita, le presento a. Informally, te presento a. A little bit more, más presentaciones. We've already learned what's here on top. You could also say esta es, which means this is. And you're introducing a female because esta with an A ending, not está, doesn't have an accent. Look at how different this word is without the accent. One of the important things about an accent, and it changes the pronunciation. It's not está, it's esta, which means this in a feminine way. Esta es. Repita, esta es. Masculine, este es. Este es. Esta, este. And the stress is on the first syllable, not the accented syllable like in está, the verb to be. Let's look at an ejemplo. Repita, esta es María. Y este es Pablo. This is Maria, feminine esta, and this is Pablo, masculine este. Now we want some more information, so we want to ask, where are you from? Repita, ¿de dónde es? ¿De dónde es? Where are you? And in this case, this form of the verb, another way to say be, and we'll get into that down the road. Where are you from? And this is formal. You could also say, ¿de dónde es usted? If you wanted to put the subject pronoun in there, this form of the verb goes with usted. Repita, ¿de dónde es? ¿De dónde es usted? Informally, repita, ¿de dónde eres? ¿De dónde eres tú? Where are you from? Notice the form of the verb ends in an S. That's kind of a giveaway that goes with tú. You're going to see that in verb conjugations. So how to ask where are you from in an informal way, and to answer soy de, and you already know soy means, you got it, I am. I am from. You could also say yo soy de. An ejemplo, soy de Nueva York. I am from New York, or yo soy de Nueva York. So let me ask you the question, where are you from? And you answer, I'm from New York. Here we go. ¿De dónde es usted? Now I'll ask you in an informal way and answer, I'm from New York. ¿De dónde eres tú? Muy bien. Now you ask me, where are you from? Ask me in a formal way. Soy de Nueva York. So let's see what you remember. ¿Cómo se dice this is? Introducing a female. Repita, esta es. How about introducing a male? Repita, este es. Este es. How about where are you from in a formal way? Repita, ¿de dónde es? Or ¿de dónde es usted? If you want to add the subject pronoun you, formal, usted. ¿Cómo se dice, where are you from informally? Repita, ¿de dónde eres? Or you could say, ¿de dónde eres tú? And ¿cómo se dice I am from? Repita, soy de, or yo soy de. So we've finally gotten to the point where we need to say farewell. Repita, adiós. Adiós. Goodbye. Repita, ciao. Ciao, which means bye. And so you know the word ciao comes from the Italian word ciao. And the Italian word ciao means hello and goodbye, but in Spanish it is only used to say bye. The spelling has been changed to reflect Spanish pronunciation, but it is a word taken from Italian. Repita, hasta luego. Hasta luego, which means until later. We might translate it as see you later, but hasta really literally means until. Repita, hasta mañana. Hasta mañana. Until tomorrow, or see you tomorrow. Repita, hasta pronto. Hasta pronto. Until soon. We could translate see you soon. Repita, nos vemos. Nos vemos, which means see you. We could say in air quotes until, and nos vemos means we see each other. So until we see each other. So ¿cómo se dice en español goodbye? Repita, adiós. ¿Cómo se dice bye? Repita, ciao. ¿Cómo se dice until later or see you later? Repita, hasta luego. Until tomorrow. Repita, hasta mañana. Until soon or see you soon. Repita, hasta pronto. And just see you, or until we see each other. Repita, nos vemos. So at this point, you've completed the material, the instructional video for Study Plan 1 for Module 1A. And you're prepared to work with Module 1A Study Plan 1 by opening it and working with each page. So go through screen at a time. The final pages are the self-check. And please realize that you must complete the self-check in order to receive a grade for the section. So let's take a look at what this looks like. You clicked on encantado, or you click on that and you go through each section. So click on encantado. Begin with the introduction to encantado. And once you enter the introduction, enter into the area, it will just go through these sections one at a time for you. It will go through each one. You do have one more instructional video at alfabeto to go through before you go through the go into the study plan. Make sure that you also do el alfabeto, the instructional video. So do each of the other sections, go through, and then you're going to see that you will come to the self-check. And again, those are the last screens that are in this section of the study plan. When you go into the self-check, you're going to see the number of questions that are in the self-check. And this is not a graded quiz, but this is really for you to self-assess your knowledge, and it's how you get your credit for completing this part of the study plan. So you'll simply click the answer that you would choose. Click on check your answer, and in this case, you're going to get feedback that says this was correct. And if that's the case, what you want to do is simply click next and you'll go on to item 2. Now let's say You click a response, check your answer, and you get this feedback. Incorrect. This isn't a greeting. Well, click next and just go on to the next item. Go through all 8 of the items. When you get to the last item, click finish and you're going to get your results screen. If you've completed everything correctly, you will see excellent job. So that's great. In that case, you definitely are ready for the next topic. But if you felt that for some reason you weren't quite sure about your work, you can retry. Simply take another self-check. And the second self-check will load different questions. So it'll give you another opportunity to learn. Or you just might want to try again and check another batch of questions. Or you could click in to review the material and you could actually go into the learning content again if you'd like to. But if you feel like you did an excellent job, you really know the material, go on to the next topic. If you didn't do so well and you missed a few, you'll see a screen something like this, needs work. This section could use another review. And in that case, retry the self-check if you feel like, well, I just missed that one. Let me just give the one another chance. But if there are several that you missed, review the material again before you click on the I'm ready for the next topic. Make sure that you know the material before you move on. And that's it, el fin. That's the end of your first instructional video for Study Plan 1. Buen trabajo y hasta pronto, which means good work. And hasta pronto means see you soon.